Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon, and I'm finally going to be reviewing a Disney movie. So yeah, I figured to do this. I'll review at least a few movies, of course. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again because when it comes to superhero stuff, I don't care much for them really. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's from Marvel or DC. It really doesn't matter. Because when it comes to this kind of genre, I don't care much for these types of movies. I mean, yes, I do understand that there's a certain cultural impact from these films. And I can see why people do enjoy them. That's not fine. I'm not saying you can't enjoy them. If you enjoy these movies, that's fine. More power to you. But for me, it never really have a sort of appeal to it. I mean, I can get it. I get the appeal, but for me, really, it's not a thing for me, really. But I don't know. I review these types of movies anyway, regardless. But you can't blame me for giving these types of movies a chance, okay? So, but the thing is that I much rather be doing a video discussing the princess movies. If I'm gonna be bluntly honest with you, folks. So, yeah. That's the thing. I know that's not exactly the typical thing that a lot of people would say, but that's just me though. That's just me. So yeah, just so you know. But since I'm doing a bunch of Disney related movies anyway, and I want to review a bunch of films as it is, and like I said before, like I said multiple times as well, if I review one installment of a franchise, I might as well review them all. I mean, unless there's a very specific reason not to, I guess. But still, I did review the vast majority of the other Marvel films, so I guess talking about this wouldn't hurt. But okay, anyway, blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. The film I'm going to be talking about today is Thor Ragnarok. And honestly, I was hesitant on watching this. It's the third installment of the Thor films and the 17th film when it comes to the overall Marvel Expanded Universe. But the thing is that I was really hesitant on watching this. When this film was originally released in theaters, I didn't want to watch it really because how the overall tone was this. It came off way too goofy. I can just tell from the trailers themselves it was going to come off extremely goofy. But yeah, what's rubbing the wrong way. So the trailers themselves didn't really give me a good vibe really. But yeah, that's the thing, folks. I'm just being honest here. So yeah. But like I said, folks, I did review the vast majority of the other Marvel films already. So like I said, I guess one more reviewing another one it's not gonna hurt nobody, I guess. So anyway, I finally watched it, and of course, as usual, I do have to talk about the plot. So yeah, let's just dive right into this, shall we? So here we go. In this film, takes some time after a sudden battle, Thor is actually imprisoned by this demon who reveals that Thor's father is no longer in Asgard. He explains that the realm was eventually soon will be destroyed by this, like some sort of prophecy and whatnot. The thing is that once, there's this whole thing with the crown, with this eternal flame that burns in the, some sort of thing. Of course, eventually, Thor himself does free himself and have a little brief fight or whatever. Thor does return to Asgard to find, let's just say, this Oki, here, of course. And this time around, yes, of course, there's some sort of threat going on in here, obviously. Like just like in every other comic, you're gonna have to have some sort of villain or whatever. But anyway, he does get into some crazy stuff in this movie, as you can guess. But the thing is that, yeah, let's just say, you guys pretty tense for him, I guess. Yeah, the big threat in this film is this woman right here, folks. Yeah, there's some sort of family thing going on. Yeah, talk about dysfunctional, I guess. Yeah, she's a threat, and actually destroys the hammer right here, folks. Yeah, that does be a part of the overall story. Yeah, this film does attempt to have some serious moments, which I will get to in just a moment. But yeah, folks, Asgard, this place, of course, is under threat. Yeah, and not just that, folks. At some point, Thor himself does lose an eye. And okay, that sounds pretty dark. This does sound like pretty gloomy from what I'm describing. And his homeland's probably destroyed and whatnot. Again, like the tone of this movie is something I have an issue with, which I'll get to in just a moment. But anyway, the character of Doctor Strange does make an appearance, a really brief appearance here, which honestly does seem like a wasted a moment here because they could have used him, especially during the last battle in the film. But whatever, guys. You're telling me Doctor Strange can have a fight scene with Thanos, whom is of course clearly more powerful than the villain in this movie, but she but she can't have a fight scene with the character of Doctor Strange. Really? I mean, we supposed to believe that she's extremely powerful, but okay, whatever. And the character of Thor actually does admit that he needs to assemble a team real fast just to face her, to protect the people from Asgard. So you think it would make more sense for them to, well, whatever, I guess. Like I said, whatever. But anyway, folks, like I was saying a moment ago, plenty of moments where it does take itself rather serious. It does attempt to be has high some high risking moments where anything can happen, like the places will get destroyed, but it's ruined by the goofy overall tone of the film. So whenever there's supposed to be a really dramatic moment in the narrative, which ultimately is taken down and ruined because it comes off way too silly in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't mind this if it's like in some moments here and there. I understand if you want to lead, trying to ease up the tension. That alone isn't necessarily a bad thing per se. But the overall tone just comes off like that. It does not keep a good balance of this at all. If anything, the director himself admitted that he wanted to make this more goofier than the finished product. Which, no. The film is really lighthearted as it is. Thus, the contrast is just all over the place. That's what I'm getting at. I do not like this kind of a thing. If anything, it comes off more of a parody of the Marvel films, if anything. So, I didn't like it, folks. I really did not like this film that much. No, just no. If you're gonna be one of those fans of the comic book series of Thor, in a lot of ways, the people who really like the comics, those fans might be really disappointed because many of those characters from the comic books do appear in this movie, but inaccurately. I mean, I know a lot of comic books in general are not exactly favorite source material to begin with, but this one just really comes off like it's spit in the fan's face because there's a lot of elements, a lot of characters come here briefly, but just more of a goofy your version of what is compared to comics. So it just come off like it's more style than substance. At the end of the day, Thor Ragnarok is a generic comic book film. I know it's coming off, I'm giving this movie a hard time, and yes, I am. But at the end of the day, I've seen worse. I've seen far, far worse than this. Easily make an entire video of just me speaking about of some of the absolute worst superhero films I've ever seen. And there's a lot of them. I do mean a lot. But for the sake of my sanity, I'm not going to discuss that in this video. The point being, it's definitely not the worst I've seen, and it's far from the best I've seen. It's somewhere in the middle. So at the end of the day, this movie was okay. It's pretty okay. It's your run-up-the-mill superhero movie. If anything, it's the overall tone of it that ruined it for me, folks. I mean, yeah, the story itself doesn't break any grounds or anything, but they could have at least tried to make it more enjoyable, I guess. But whatever, I guess. Ultimately, it's the overall tone that ruined it for me, folks. I mean, okay, I would have been a bit more forgiving, I guess, if the tone was done a bit better. Because, case in point, The Last of Us 2, the overall plot of this one and the first game wasn't exactly anything special, but it's the characters and the overall tone of it that made up for it. I can't say that for this film. The villain herself came off really half-assed. The villain didn't come off all that threatening. I know the film is trying to tell me that the villain is threatening, but ultimately the villain felt really weak. I mean, I know that's usually the problem with these types of movies. The villains themselves just come off like an afterthought, just for something for the superhero character to fight off, and that's about it. The villain character doesn't really have much of a personality, really. Anyway, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 5.1 out of 10. I'll give it a 5.1 out of 10 because it's alright, I guess. It's pretty alright. But anyway, folks, as always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah. Later. Uh-huh.